It's time for your Raw review, boys and girls, and not as good as last week, but a pretty decent show, I gotta say. Not too shabby, not stupendous, but it was alright. It was alright. We start off with a Seth Rollins promo. You know, kind of long-winded, you know, not a whole lot of good stuff to it. A little bit funny how they were making fun of Kane because he did jack shit at Mania. All he did was get eliminated during the pre-show. So I guess that was fairly entertaining. Orton comes out to, you know, to argue with them. And he has a match with Kane. There's going to be a triple threat later on in the night. And every person in the triple threat's going to have a one-on-one match. And we get Orton versus Kane for the zillion fucking time. We haven't seen enough of this. You know, every single time Orton is a face, he's got to face Kane, you know. Remember how many times we had to see this in 2012? One of my favorite years in WWE. Fucking 2012. Anything that reminds me of 2012... you know, I don't want to remember it, but, yeah, it was alright. Kane just hits Orton with a chair, and, you know, there's your disqualification. Not much of a fucking match there. Up next, you had Seth Rollins and Adrian Neville, or just Neville, as I said, because first names don't exist in the WWE anymore. You know, Seth Rollins is lucky he's still Seth. And he's not just Rollins or some shit. You know, as I said, this is like fucking outrageous. This is like if Triple H was just H or some shit like that. You know, just shortening names up. I mean, you know, this is like, I don't fucking know. Imagine if the Hardy Boys, they just called them Hardy. You know, they'd have the same fucking name. You know, enough of this fucking nonsense. Let him, you know, it sounds a little bit odd just calling them Neville. You know, kind of reminds me almost of that fucking kid from Harry Potter. Yeah, it does. What was his name? The fucking, you know, fat nerdy kid. Was it Neville or Neville? Or, yeah, I think it was Neville. Close enough. But this match was pretty fucking good. You know, Neville showed enough athleticism there. You know, and Rollins kind of was, you know, slowed it down a bit. You know, didn't try to upstage Neville, you know. It was a pretty good match how they did it, you know. Rollins was a bit more methodical. But a really good fucking match. I really enjoyed it. You know, it was nice to see that, you know, we had like a ROH match, you know, actually happening in the WWE ring on Raw television. It was pretty cool to see, you know, just for the spectacle of it all. And it turned out to be a good match. Then you had John Cena, the new U.S. champ. You know, some people hate it, some people love it. I like it better than Rusev having the belt, you know, and I'm not crazy about Cena, but I like this new thing he's doing with the U.S. title, you know, doing the open challenges. Everybody gets a shot at the title. So, you know, this time it was Stardust. This match wasn't even half as good as the one last week with Dean Ambrose, but still, you know, a pretty good match. And Cena had you know, was wrestling a different style in this match. It was good, you know. It wasn't just him, you know, getting beat down for the first couple of minutes and doing the same 4 moves, 5 moves of doom, you know, to finish it up. And Cena did that awesome springboard stunner again. That's a good fucking move. That's not even a move that a lot of fucking more athletic guys could pull off. He pulls it off flawlessly. You know, he jumps backwards and he connects it perfectly. That's a move that I can imagine could be very easily botched, but Cena pulls it off to perfection. People will call me a Cena ass kisser. But, you know, thing is, we gotta give credit where credit's due. You know, how ridiculous does it look when Cena has a good match like last week with Dean Ambrose and people are criticizing me, you know, for saying the show was good. You know, the thing is, if someone has a good match, it's gotta be said. You know, what are we gonna fucking lie? Are we gonna be fucking children? You know, we're just, it's Cena. So we're just gonna, you know, deny facts there, motherfuckers. No, we're not. You know, in these videos, I tell the fucking truth. I don't lie to please you or anybody else. You know, these are my opinions, and I think you've known that for a couple of years now. You know, watching me, I don't try to please anybody here. I say what's on my mind. People have different opinions, and, you know, if I, you know, happen to like what they're doing with Cena as the U.S. champ, and, you know, that's okay. You know, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to get hauled off by the fucking police because, you know, I enjoy certain things about the current product. Not all of it, but, you know, there's some things they do good. And, you know, this is, you know, a step in the right direction. Good matches for the U.S. title is going to make the title more important, and that's the point of having it on Cena, kind of, you know, better than when it was with Rusev and it was fucking boring as shit. Then you had Naomi and Paige defeating the Bellas. This match was fucking shit. And the fucking finish, right after they're saying, oh, Naomi's one of the most talented women. You know, this is true. She knows how to do a few decent high-flying maneuvers, but she botches a lot. And the finish, motherfuckers, was botched. That was like 101 on how to botch a move. It was like this head scissors, but it was fucking sloppily done. It looked fucking just horrendous. There was like no impact at all. It was a fucking horrible ass bump. And you could see that it, you know, it wasn't the Bella taking it the wrong way. Whoever it was, Brie or Nikki taking the move. But it was fucking Naomi. You know, she barely made any impact on the move. And how ridiculous is it that she still has Brodus Clay's theme, or Ernest the Cat Miller's theme, to be more accurate there? You know, Brodus Clay's been gone for fucking months. Fucking almost a goddamn year. And she still has his fucking theme. Somebody call my mama! Somebody call my mama! Somebody shut that fucking song off already! Brodus Clay is gone. The Funkadactyls are dead. Fuck this fucking song and fuck that shitty ass finishing move. Holy shit. Then you had the fucking Lucha Dragons. I don't know, like I almost said Jung Dragons from fucking WCW with Kaz Hayashi. Fucking name dropping Kaz Hayashi there. You know, they face off against the New Day. The New Day goes heel. They say that the clapping keeps them from snapping. Big E was a little bit funny during the promo, which I kind of shuddered to say, but I guess it was a little bit humorous. Big E and his, you know, fucking announcer voice, whatever the hell he wants to call it, but I guess it was entertaining for what it was. And, you know, this Kalisto is like better than Rey Mysterio ever was. Does way more athletic shit than Rey Mysterio does. Doesn't botch anything, really. I've seen him botch a couple of times in NXT just to, you know, clear out the trolls. All right, trolls, you know, he's botched a couple of times in NXT. But so far, he looks very motivated since being promoted to the main roster or appearing on the main roster, whatever they're doing. But enjoyable match here. Then Sheamus came out, and Sheamus issued an open challenge, another open challenge to Mark Henry. Kind of looked a little bit awkward at the end. Sheamus bouncing off the ropes, then quickly running to the corner to do the bro kick, kind of like Mark Henry was in the wrong position. Fucking Mark Henry. Why is Mark Henry still there? When is this guy gonna fucking retire? You know, hasn't he wrestled long enough? Every time we think he's gonna retire, the motherfucker pops back up out of fucking nowhere. He comes out of nowhere, returns, he returns for the 1000th fucking time. Just fucking end it already with these motherfuckers. I'm getting fucking goddamn sick and tired of these people already. They're Mark Henry fans. They're just fucking sickening already. Mark Henry needs to fucking retire already. Just get this motherfucker out of the fucking place already. He is done. He is finished. He should be retired. And I don't know why some places on YouTube, he still got fans. Still got fans all over the fucking place. I don't understand it at all. Mark Henry should be fucking done. Sexual Chocolate should get his fat ass out of there already. I am sick and tired of Mark fucking Henry already. Then you had Miz defeating Mizdow. This was a nice, short, aggressive match. They will probably have a rematch at Extreme Rules. Mizdow, you know, lost, but he had his tights held. I'm sure he'll win at Extreme Rules, but the match was pretty enjoyable for what it was. Not bad, you know. Then you had the main event. It was Randy Orton defeating Roman Reigns and Ryback in a triple threat match. Not a bad little 5-minute match here. It was pretty fast-paced. You know, decent enough for Ryback and Roman Reigns, you know, based on the competitors involved. You know, out of these people, I guess Randy Orton is the best pick. They had a good match at Mania. If they could have the same, you know, quality match, or preferably even better, that would be fucking great. You know, I'm pretty sure Rollins will beat Orton, or, you know, Orton is not going to get the title, but, you know, or at least I hope. I have been wrong in the fucking past about that. But, yeah, I like this. The match was alright, you know, with the interference and everything. It was kind of hectic. You know, I don't understand why Ryback is all of a sudden in contention for the world title. You know, not Daniel Bryan, but Ryback. No offense to CM Puke, Ryback is a sexy fucking man. You know, I would pay a lot of money just to be able to sniff that man's sling it, or whatever the fuck it's called, you know, the tank top. You know, but I can't, so, you know, Ryback, I don't really see why he's in contention for the title, but he is, but, you know, he didn't win. Yeah, so I guess it was a pretty decent show. You know, sorry guys. You know, oh, we want Psycho Brad. You know, sorry guys, but there ain't gonna be any Psycho Brad if the shows are not that bad. And this show was not bad at all. It was pretty enjoyable. I sat there, I didn't fall asleep, I didn't throw middle fingers up at the screen, so, you know, not a bad Raw, motherfucker. Sorry. You know, not crazy eye. You know, I'm not, like, putting my head through the fucking window or anything. You know, I'm sorry, but that's not what's gonna happen. You know, you guys got raged Phil Brad when I thought Mania was gonna suck, but Mania didn't suck, so there you fucking go. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm sure they're gonna fuck up eventually, but they haven't lately, so there you go, motherfuckers. Not too bad, not too bad.